Hello, TLF family. Happy Wednesday. Happy post-Thanksgiving Wednesday, last day of November. Hopefully everybody's doing wonderful and fantastic. Today's topic is going to be just a Q&A. I got back late last night from Colorado. I'm going to be reaching out to a few of you, whether you're on here now or other people, about some client spotlights, kind of hear different people's journeys and stuff like that. So I should be reaching out to a couple people over the next couple days or week or so to try to line those up. We obviously might wait until January maybe to do those just because the holidays and everybody's busy. But see if I can line up anybody for those things. Just a couple little notes real quick. Recap of kind of holidays and travel for myself. Like I said, I went to Colorado on Saturday. We got to kind of escape for a few days, which was nice. Got back late last night. Found out that Nicole's mom is in hospice. It's kind of been a long time coming to an extent. She has dementia and Alzheimer's, and she's a really kind of sad situation. But so as soon as we got home last night at 4:30, we found out she was in hospice and immediately went up there about an hour and a half later. So it was kind of a weird come home from vacation and wanted to chill and then doing that stuff. So that's actually where Nicole is right now. So that made things, tough and emotional and whatnot. But aside from that, I myself got locked back in. I had meal prepped my chicken ahead of time. So I had a couple weeks worth of chicken frozen in the freezer. And then last night before we went up to hospice care, I knocked out my rice, threw it in the rice cooker, and then came home and prepped that. So then I had everything I needed to go for today and the next few days at work, and this weekend, and then I'll get meal prep for the weekend, or for the coming week. Aside from that, though, I want to hear how you friends, Kaylee, Krista, Michelle, Dexter, how was your guys' Thanksgiving? I would love to know, because it's kind of a Q&A for me asking you guys some questions. I would like to know, what did you personally do diet-wise leading up to Thanksgiving? What did you do on Thanksgiving? What was kind of your method of attack? Was there any thought behind it, or just kind of show up and do whatever? And then what did it look like locking back in on Friday, or the meals in between if you had multiple Thanksgiving meals? Kind of give us that lead up, that during, and that post. I can start to kind of give you guys a little outline of it. So essentially what I did last week, and the week prior to that, I kept things clean. I tried to avoid extra cheat meals or extra meals out, knowing that Thanksgiving was coming up. I'm currently not in a cut, and my calories are fairly high anyway, so that made things pretty easy for me. But essentially, last week I crushed it. I had our first Thanksgiving on Wednesday night, so during the day on Monday and Tuesday and nighttime and whatnot, I absolutely was on point. And then that Wednesday before that Thanksgiving meal, I think I knew what we were having some. There's this Thai barbecue place right down the street from us that we haven't gotten to try yet. And so I knew we were having that. So I knew fat was going to be fairly high. Carbs were going to be decently high as well. So I just kind of, dropped out some of my fats during that day on Wednesday. And then a little bit of carbs as well to make room for it. And then Thursday we had two meals. Really, I woke up, chugged down a lot of water. I drank a lot of water all day on Thanksgiving. I think all I had was maybe a protein shake that morning because we went to the gym prior. So I did go get a workout in. And then I knocked out a protein shake and then had my Thanksgiving meals. Really, I'm really, really big on just making a bunch of turkey and like ham on dinner roll type sandwiches with some gravy and whatnot. So I had quite a few of those. Enjoyed desserts. I actually had a couple pieces of pie, which I generally don't, which was nice. And that's kind of what Thursday looked like. Nothing too crazy out of line. I was actually probably around my calorie intake that I normally would be. However, obviously a lot less protein, a lot more carbs and fats and sodium. So I was retaining some water. Friday was solid. I don't think we had anything else on Friday. Then I was out of town, for those few days. So being out of town was a little bit difficult. I probably underate on calories most days. But macronutrients were all off. Water intake was probably down on those few days. So that made things a little bit difficult. But anywho, though, so that's kind of what it looked like. I already kind of said, we got back at 4:30 yesterday, and that was kind of my last not so healthy meal that I had last night, and then essentially got locked back in today. And looking ahead for what I'm doing, I've got I got to get ready for Vegas here in a few weeks. I'm going out there for the Olympium for underestimated, which I've mentioned on here as well. So, I've got that to look forward to. And then I'm starting my true off season on January 4th. So I'm really excited to start building again. But anyway, so that's kind of what things look like for me. I would love to hear what you guys did. Does anybody want to start? And you don't have to. If you did not show up today ready to talk or anything else, it's no worries. But if you want to give us some insight, that'd be great.
I can go. Can you hear me?
What's up, brother? Tell me how it went.
Yeah. So as far as I can remember, I had 3 dinners. I had one on Wednesday, and then 2 on Thursday. But Wednesday I just ate my lunch, but with a little bit less rice than normal. And then for that dinner on Wednesday, I just kind of ate whatever I wanted to eat. I focused on protein. Ate a lot of turkey. Not big on ham. And then I just grabbed some of the sides that I like, and then ate a little bit of dessert. Didn't
Well,
take any leftovers.
nice.
My girlfriend brought a bunch home, but I was like, "That's all for you. I'm not gonna eat any leftovers." And then next day, since I had 2 dinners for lunch, I just ate, I think, just my protein, and I worked out that morning to burn some of the calories from the previous day.
Yeah.
And then I had my 2 dinners are back to back. My first one, I did the same thing, focused on protein, and then filled it in with carbs. And then the second dinner, I ate very little bit because I was still pretty full from the first.
Yeah.
And drink hella water, had maybe 1 glass of champagne.
Okay.
Locked right back in next day. Went to work out the next morning and locked back in.
That's what it's all about, is just locking back in as soon as you can, and enjoying those times with family and friends and whatnot, and obviously giving yourself the allowance and the grace to enjoy that stuff. What was your favorite food item for Thanksgiving?
Oh man, it's tough. Oh man, I like everything, but my favorite was probably some pumpkin bread made by myself.
Oh, nice. And you made
Yeah,
it?
yeah. I got a recipe a while back,
Nice.
so I like to make it for Thanksgiving. I
Uh,
like green bean casserole, stuffing, and all that stuff. Turkey.
you had me at pumpkin bread. Dessert breads and pastries and stuff like that is my weakness. So
Yeah,
it's hard for me to not smash a lot of that, but well, good stuff, man. And obviously you lock back in. I knew you would, no problems with that. And then you are starting a little mini cut, kind of like myself, because you got a little cruise coming up, right?
yeah. Got a cruise coming up, trying to look
Yeah.
good for that.
Yeah. And so some of that short term focus, for the short term goals, and then coming back, we'll reassess once you get back in town after your cruise, and once we get past Christmas and whatnot, and then kind of reassess where we want to go. Looking forward to like the spring and summertime and what you have on the horizon and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to it, brother. All right. Yeah, Kaylee here. She messaged in here. She said, I followed my meal plan for the week up until Thanksgiving Day. I had a protein shake for breakfast. Nice. 2 Thanksgiving meals that day. So sounds like what I did. I didn't have dessert, which I normally don't. Didn't go back for seconds, which I normally would do. Had a Friendsgiving on Saturday. Didn't do very well Sunday. Locked back in on Monday. Good. I appreciate the honesty with that, especially like on that Sunday, maybe not being as on point. First off, you said that you're not huge on desserts. I'm usually not either, especially for Thanksgiving. I'm not a huge pie person. But all right, so you don't have that. So that was normal, and you didn't go back for seconds, which you said you normally would do. I mean, how do you feel about that, Kaylee? Did you feel like you were over restricted? Was that was that you trying to minimize the damage? Maybe trying to just adopt a new mindset and eating, and maybe not eating until maybe just eating to contentment versus fully stuffing yourself. Give me a little bit of insight on that. How did you feel about that decision, Kaylee, to not go back for seconds and probably stuff yourself? And then also, I will say this as well. You had the Friendsgiving on Saturday, and then you said you didn't do very well Sunday. I think this is a really, really hard part as well, especially like when things are kind of off going into Saturday. Sundays are a hard day to get locked in. They're an easy day to, maybe meal prep and stuff like that. But being locked in after you've had a few days of kind of, you know, not being on point, which again makes sense during this time of year anyway, or with Thanksgiving. And I would say that that's okay. If you can focus on the day on getting a lot of water intake, making at least a couple of those meals fairly nutrient dense, focusing on a lot of protein with those couple meals. But if you're going to throw away day, I'm not big on throwing away days, but if things been off all the way up until Saturday, then yeah, Sunday, it's easier to kind of mentally get refocused and be like, all right, I'm just going to get everything meal prepped and whatnot on Sunday so I can lock back in on Monday. So two things, Kaylee, if you're still listening to this, I would like to know about is how did you feel about the decision to not go back for seconds? Did you feel good about that? Did you feel over restricted? Are you missing that at this point? And number two, on Sunday and or Saturday, did you get meal prepped and ready to go for Monday? And how's this week been kind of leading up to this moment?
So during Thanksgiving, I didn't feel restricted. I was just trying to be more conscious about what I was eating, and I was letting my body tell me when I was full.
Yeah.
So I didn't see the point in continuing to eat food just because it's there.
Yeah. That's
There
good.
is like some stuff that we only get on Thanksgiving. And my dad actually ate the rest of it, so I didn't have the option to eat more of it.
Well, there you go. That always helps. I'm happy that, like you said, you were just listening to the cues your body was giving you. Again, Thanksgiving is a day where people are like, I'm gonna go force feed myself and force myself until I'm sick, and there's really no point in doing that. I'm sure, like you said, like in past years you've probably done that, and then this year you didn't do that, and you got to enjoy the food, you got to enjoy the experience of being with everybody else, but then not feeling absolutely sick to your stomach the rest of the day. So I'm sure that was a benefit.
Yeah, definitely. I wasn't like super tired when I got home like I normally would. I actually did some things when I got back.
There you go.
I normally don't meal prep until Monday because that's my day off.
Oh, okay.
And then so Sunday I didn't do very well because Saturday I had some drinks and so I just wasn't feeling super great.
Yeah.
And I had one of my friends went to the Chiefs game, so I had to babysit for them all day.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
But then Monday I tried to get back into my normal routine.
Yeah. And I'm sure just with, Thanksgiving, whatnot, you probably didn't have as much food meal prepped as you normally would on a normal Sunday. So that probably was a factor. I know that would be kind of a factor for me as well. But like you said, Monday's your normal day to meal prep and you did that. So it sounds like this week has been back to the plan as usual, right?
Yeah.
Good. Perfect. Thanks for the insight into your past week or two, Kaylee. And something I forgot to mention when you kind of told us about what you did, good call on not bringing home leftovers. My family's big on leftovers as well. Growing up, we always brought the leftovers home. People don't want all the extra pies and stuff sitting in their house. They want to, divvy it out to everybody else. Taking things like turkey that, that's not a problem. Regardless, usually how the turkey is cooked, it's usually gonna be one of the healthier things there at those dinners and stuff. So taking that isn't that big of a deal. You can mix that in and sub it out for, sub out chicken or stuff like that for it. But aside from that, it's what's in your house is what you're going to eat, whether that's good or that's bad. So if you're bringing home all the leftover desserts and stuff like that, because mom said you had to, now you're setting yourself up for, well, I don't want it to go to waste. And then that turns into, now you just had 4 Thanksgiving meals out of that one Thanksgiving meal. Something I like to do when somebody is really, really adamant on taking food as leftovers, even though a lot of people really aren't like that anymore because they know that, my lifestyle and what I'm doing for myself. But like things that I'll do at school as well, whenever, kids will bring Halloween candy to me or, Valentine stuff and stuff like that, is I usually drive through downtown anyway on my way home. So I'll either kind of keep like a stockpile of all that stuff, or I'll just swing through and, give it to, a dude on the corner that is asking for money or drinks or, food or whatever the case is. So I like to kind of go do that. That way I'm still feeling good about it. I'm still taking the food, but then I'm not overindulging on it there at home. Because again, what you have at home is what you're going to eat. Kaylee, thanks for your details on that. Michelle, Krista, do you guys want to say anything about yours, or is it pretty similar to what has already been said?
I'll go.
Yeah.
So I had kids home, so that made it a little different. So I just tried to monitor portions and control the meals that I could. So it's harder for me to like with meal prep and stuff when you're then preparing kind of family favorites or requests from college age kids that are coming home.
I was going to ask how old your kids were again, and whereabouts are they? Did they bring friends home? Was it just them home? How many kids? All that good stuff.
Yeah. So the oldest is 26, and she and her boyfriend live in DC, and they went to Cleveland. So she did not come home. She'll be home for Christmas. And then the middle daughter is 23. She lives in Minneapolis and is in vet school. And she brought home a classmate that lives out of state also that wasn't going to be able to make it home. So she brought her friend home. And then my youngest is 16 and a sophomore in high school. So yeah, so we just had an extra friend in the house.
Yeah.
So just, it's a little bit more making sure you have breakfast items, making sure you have, you're like hosting other people. So well, we just had one Thanksgiving. We went over to my mom's house. Yeah, so that was fine. I didn't, it's not my favorite meal of the year. It's I can kind of easily stay within,
Yeah.
I'm not like dying, having to unbutton my pants or anything like most people think about Thanksgiving. So we did do the Hillcrest 5K walk/run.
Nice.
So we did that as a family on Thursday. And then on Friday, I continued my workout and just, tried to do meals when I could that were, like have the protein shake in the morning before the kids woke up, and just kind of did that. And then Sunday, everybody left and we like kind of stripped the beds and got the house picked up and got everything meal prepped. And then
Nice.
Monday, it was pretty easy just to kind of get back to it.
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad.
Well, good. I mean, it sounds like you can, especially the difficulty with having, all the kids back in the house, wanting to have family meals and dinners and stuff like that. I'm sure that creates some difficulty with you, but especially if you're the one cooking a lot of the food, you have the input in what's going into the food, how you make healthy substitutions and stuff like that. And then obviously, how much food it is that you're eating, but it sounds like you did a pretty damn good job of it, and then lock right back in on Sunday or Monday. So that's perfect. Good job,
Yep.
Michelle.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Krista?
I was going to say that I'm kind of similar to Michelle, where Thanksgiving is not my top holiday as far as like meal, but it's more about the socialization, and is that going to be my detriment or a benefit? So like for Friendsgiving on a Saturday, it was benefit because there's so much distractibility in socializing that you're not worried about going back and getting seconds, and you're not worried about it's not as much for me about the food as it is just hanging out with friends and socializing. And then I kind of shifted family to be the same way, care more about what the kids are doing and catching up with family members than focusing on the food aspect.
Yeah.
And so that was a nice shift. I need a replacement behavior or tactic for Marcus and I have talked about that for work, because I just get bored and go to whatever we are celebrating, like a dessert bar, and I eat and kind of mindlessly eat while I'm socializing in that capacity.
You're talking about at school, like in the teacher lounge. Okay, that makes sense. And like you said, like I'm sure that's a collective, all the staff are bringing their own homemade desserts or whatever store-bought stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
and just for sheer geographical location of my classroom is there's 3 wings of the building, and I'm downstairs in a far back corner, which is great to kind of have like this corner office that's isolated kind of aspect. But also when it is socialization time, I really lean into it and hang out there probably longer than I should, because I feel like I'm doubling down on catching up.
Yeah.
And so then it's And like you said, everything homemade, like not necessarily healthy, good for you, not
None of it is.
my
None of it is.
packed lunch.
I
Yeah.
always like to sneak in like the healthier, like the popcorn little bags that are like 100 calories, whatever. Like, just because I'm like, there's nothing else healthy here, so that's my input with it. But I feel you.
Yeah,
Though,
it's always like a line of crock pot of dips and things, like
yeah.
huge bags of chips.
I don't
Yeah.
know what a normal workplace looks like. I mean, everybody revolves around food and everything else. I mean, it is a good quality time with friends and whatnot and coworkers. But you know, it's tough for me as well. Really, the only time I ever see the teachers lounge is when I'll walk through in the mornings, just like the hall to go. I'll go check my mailbox and then I'll you know, glance in there on my way out down to my office. But you know, I only get 20-25 minute lunch break, as I'm sure you do as well. I've got my microwave and my fridge in my office. I do, you know, client check-ins or client communication or programming or whatever the case is during my lunchtime anyway. So I'm like, I don't even want to be up there because I'm not gonna. That's a nice 25 minute for me. So it makes it easy that I do that aspect. But you know, I think a big part of being a teacher is feeling connected to your entire community there at school. And so being in the teachers lounge is a big deal. You know, for teachers like yourself.
Yeah, and we're in a new building and they banned mini fridges and microwaves. So I have no choice but to go there. And it's so tempting when you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm in this room.
The perk that I like about it though, and this is partly of why this is a small percentage of why I love what I do so much, is because I don't like being the average person. You know, I don't want to be the average person that goes and works that doesn't, not even that teachers don't like their job. I think teachers love their job and whatnot, but just I don't want to go through the motions of life. And so I like sitting there and be like, I'm eating this right now because it's what's best for my goals, what's best for my energy. A little loud one doing some talking.
Oh yeah, you can. I forget that like it's not just what's in my like AirPod that you can hear that too.
Let's see
Sorry,
the
I
little one
don't
real
do.
quick. Oh no, don't be. I love
Oh,
that you're on the call.
say hi.
So
We're
cute.
working on getting healthy, Madison.
Yes, we are. But yeah, so me personally, like I like being in the teachers lounge for that fact, is that like, you know, I'm eating this stuff and then people always ask me about it. You know, I always get different conversations kind of stirred up with it, but I like kind of being able to lead the way in that stuff. And, you know, people ask me questions about it. I'm like, yeah, and this is what I'm doing. And, you know, this is the results that I'm getting because of it or how I feel because of it. And then hopefully, you know, I can lead by example that same situation. But
well, like I told you, it came up at a parent teacher conference this fall.
Yeah.
Like their sibling had me years ago and they're like, okay, what are you doing?
Yeah. But you know, you've done a really good job at school over the years, you know, and I'm sure that you've reduced. I mean, you probably spent, you know, eat what's in the teacher's lounge 10 or 15% of the time versus what you probably used to do. So if you give into it every now and then, I mean, I give into it every now and then. You know, especially with my calories being higher, I'm like, oh, I can go fit in a little bit of this stuff because it sounds good.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing ground turkey for lunches for 7 months, and I just now changed my protein to blackened chicken. So
oh, nice.
I feel like I've been like on a good track.
You get a day every now and then to just say, this is what I want to eat and this is what I'm going to eat. And I mean, I'm the same way with that. So, you know, it's about giving yourself grace, but then it's about locking right back in, just like, you know, after Thanksgiving and anything else.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Yeah, Dexter, what's up?
Can you share that blackened chicken recipe, please?
Ooh, can you hear that?
It's in a bag in the Target frozen section. It takes 3 minutes to heat up, and it's good, and it's the only way I can like eat chicken because grilled chicken to me is just I can't.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
There you go.
Okay, I'm gonna look for that.
Something that I'm really looking forward to doing, I hope that I can kind of start in January-ish, but especially like once I'm done with teaching and having more and more time, something I want to do here at home is start cooking more for Nicole and, you know, surprising her with dinners and stuff whenever she gets off work. But at the same time, I want to be able to make those things macro friendly. So I want to, you know, log the recipes, log how I cook the different stuff, to share it with everybody, to be like, hey, you know, this is something you can fit into your diet. Cause I know there's always a lot of people that, you know, especially new people that are like, hey, do you have any recipes and things like that? And I'm like, you know, me personally, it's not efficient usually to make a bunch of recipes. to constantly be mixing it up every single week. And plus, I'm a robot. I can eat the same thing all the time. I give you guys the substitutions to make, and I'll give you advice whenever you're saying, hey, I'm kind of tired of X, Y, and Z, and I'll give you recommendations on it. But I think having some good recipes, or even almost like a menu kind of on cycle with it, where I can kind of update those different things. I'm really looking forward to that.
That was like one of my biggest questions that I was going to have for tonight is, just like Dexter is saying, is protein and how is it cooked?
Yeah.
And because you get into this routine or this rut more so sometimes, and just like, what is that platform going to look like? Like a website or a Google Drive folder, like something easy and clickable.
I've thought about that as well, about, what the easiest way to do that, that I can constantly go update without having to send out new stuff all the time. Something that people can access. So I'm still kind of toying around with different ideas. I might try one way, and I might be like, after a month, be like, hey, I'm going to try it a different way and just see kind of what works with it. But again, that's just a thing that I want to add more and more value to kind of what we're doing here and give you guys more flexibility. I mean, I made, I didn't really post it and whatnot, but I made healthier enchiladas for Nicole and I baked enchiladas in the oven, which were absolutely delicious. Instead of regular tortillas, which would be 30 or 40 grams of carbs per, I did the carb balance stuff. So it's like 15 grams of fiber per. And that's the only carbs you're really getting out of that. So like I did that stuff, I added rice and beans, but for somebody who maybe doesn't have the amount of carbs in their diet, then maybe you would just drop that and just do protein inside of there. I found lower fat cheese to use on top of it. Obviously, if you're being really, really watchful of that, then you would go less. If you had room in your diet, then you could go more with that. I'm excited to be able to kind of post about that type of stuff and give you guys more recipes and things like that to add into it, because I think that is a really big part of it. Especially, I mean, for instance, Michelle just hopped off here, but she had a whole family in town, essentially, her daughters and stuff that kind of live elsewhere. So, for her to be able to still execute what she's trying to do goal wise, but then also mix it up and eat an actually family meal, not just cook something for the whole family and then her eat her meal prep. Instead, she's getting to have that stuff, and usually I feel like a lot of us are stuck with that. Is like, I want to reach my goals, but I also want to do this. And then you have to make that decision and you're constantly stuck with that. And that creates some sort of resentment or frustration or whatever the case is, or burnout, like you said. So I think having the option to kind of, marry both is huge.
Well, and I, like Megan and I tonight, we're talking about the Metapure and the chocolate Metapure and how we feel about it in our smoothies and stuff, and the benefits of it. And it makes it less intimidating to try something when someone you trust has vetted it. Like, she didn't mind ordering it because I said, this is my experience. And then if I saw, oh, Marcus says this is how to prepare tofu, or this is chickpea protein pasta, or zoodles, or like, here's something he tried and recommends, like, and you're like, okay, this is an okay avenue to check out.
Yeah. And, when I first started TLF and I started tracking my macros, I was really, really flexible with it. I was also in college and I had more time to kind of experiment with different stuff. And I was much more on the flexible side of things. But then, life catches up to you. We don't have kids yet, but once we have that, I'll have less and less time. But so then, I created this routine that really has worked for me, and I'm really happy with that routine. But then I got away from being, showing you guys the flexible side of things, because that's the sustainability factor of it. Is being able to eat freely, but also be in line with, what works best for your body. So yeah, that is to come. I'm not quite there yet at the moment, but that's definitely something that I'm moving more and more towards, and figuring out, the best way of providing that for everybody. But good. So that kind of already answered your question a little bit, Krista, to an extent. Yeah. Anybody else have any? So again, this is supposed to be a Q&A. I know we've talked about Thanksgiving for the first 30 minutes, but anybody have any specific questions you guys want to talk about? Struggles, obstacles?
I had a question about slow release protein. I was on my protein for like the Black Friday sales, and they had like a cookies and cream. I think it's like casein or casein.
Casein protein. Yes. Yeah. So when it comes to like milk proteins, there's the whey, which is the most popular, and there's casein as well. And casein is a slower digesting protein. So essentially, if you just worked out and you had to choose between casein and whey protein, you want to go with whey protein because you want something that's quick digesting, quick absorbing into the body and delivered to the, the protein or to your muscles and everything where it's supposed to go. Whereas casein is that's going to be slower digesting, like you said, kind of slower releasing, but slower digesting. So really the best time to drink casein, it would be at nighttime. So that would be to have like your end of the night protein shake before you go to bed. That's probably the best time to drink a casein protein shake. Funny enough, one of the girls I used to date in high school and into college a little bit, she was a vegan. So that kind of opened my eyes to that world. And I've learned how to kind of marry the two different things, veganism with also kind of, just eating meat and things like that, and trying to find the healthiest route to kind of do both. Cause I think there's a lot of good things with that, a lot of bad things with it. And the reason why I'm bringing up being a vegan, I did a lot of, nutrition presentations and papers and stuff on vegan dieting and vegan lifestyle and whatnot. And actually one of the things that I discovered, in at least my research, I haven't gone back into all this stuff, is that is casein is a higher chance of causing cancer essentially inside the body. Now I don't remember all the data on that and all the different research articles and stuff like that. But so for me, what happens with me, I don't always necessarily remember specifics. That makes it kind of difficult to be a coach sometimes because I don't remember specifics of things. I remember the vague ideas or the general ideas. This is good. This is bad. The intricate details as to why and why this is really good or why this is really bad. I don't have room in my brain, I guess, for that, or at least that's the way I learn, but I learned the vagueness of it all. So I know that this is good and this is bad. I can't really tell you sometimes when I found something or when I learned something, but so to kind of answer your question, that is what casein is. There are definitely benefits to that. Do I think it's needed? No, I've never put it on anybody's diet plan. I think, I experimented and I took it kind of in high school and whatnot. But I was also a high school boy with testosterone flowing through me. And so my body changed quickly anyway. So the validity of it and how much it actually works versus regular protein, I really don't know. Good question. Good question.
And then I had a question. So my gym is getting ready to put a sauna in.
Nice.
Is there benefits? Like, would you I usually just go in there just because it feels good, but is it necessary?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily necessary. However, again, this is kind of coming back to what I just mentioned about generalities with health and fitness sometimes, is that there are a crazy amount of benefits to using a sauna. Again, off the top of my head, I'm not gonna be able to throw a whole lot of those at you, but it is very, very beneficial to sit in the sauna. The way I utilize a sauna, depending on the amount of time I have when I'm at the gym, is I like to go in there for my warm up. So if I'm not going to go do cardio, especially right now when it's super cold out like this, and I'm getting to the gym after being in a frozen car for half my drive, I want to go get warmed up as fast as possible. So I use the sauna as like a warm up accelerator. I'm getting the blood flowing a lot faster. It's not good to stretch and do mobility work whenever you're frozen and your muscles are really, really cold, because they're so much tighter. So I like to go into the sauna to kind of loosen things up quicker, get my mind right for the workout or whatever the case is. So that's one of the things that I'll use it for. I'll do some stretching and some mobility work in there as well. So like whatever is on your warm-ups for your workouts, that would be a good place to go do at least some of those things. If the sauna is big enough for some foam rolling, fantastic. Otherwise, it's really, really good for post-workout. If you have the time in your workout schedule to, go in there and sit for 20 minutes. It's a fantastic thing. Go in there and stretch. Would be a great thing to do. I love doing it on my rest days as well. If I just want to get to the gym, but I don't have a workout plan for that day, I'll just go in there and just kind of sit and just chill. And kind of be with my thoughts, stretch out. Like I said, do some foam rolling. I always take a lacrosse ball in there just to kind of I'll lean up against the wall and kind of dig into tight muscles in my legs or my back or whatever the case is. But if you have a sauna, use it for sure.
Okay.
Especially when you have time to. Yeah. But those are the 2 ways that I would recommend using it, and 2 ways I use it personally. What gym do you work out at, Kaylee?
So I actually live in Lawson, which is like north of Kearney. And so I go to Club 7. It's in Kearney.
Cool. Well, congrats on the sauna edition. That's always a nice perk to a gym.
Yeah.
Definitely. Good question. 2 good questions. Dexter, Krista, any other questions from you guys? No worries if not.
I got a question.
Yo.
You probably talked about this before, but I'm trying to find a different way to like cook my chicken and kind of make it in more bulk, so that way maybe I don't have to do it every single week.
Yeah.
So you cook it in a pressure cooker, right? Or is it
I
a crock pot?
I do mine. So I have one of those. I think like the biggest XL pressure cooker that you can get. I don't know how many quarts it is. If you go on
Okay.
like Amazon, just find like the highest quart one that you can find. I don't know if it's like 12 or 15 or something like that. But so that allows me to take the big like rectangle packages from Sam's Club of chicken.
Yeah.
I'll take 2 or 3 of those and just dump it all in there. I'll take taco seasoning usually, and I don't know. I'll do like an eighth of the giant taco seasoning thing from Sam's Club as well. And I'll just add water in there, add water enough so that it covers all the chicken. And then I'll toss it in there, and then I'll put it on the pressure or the poultry cooking selection or whatever on there. And then that usually takes like a total of probably 45 minutes in the pressure cooker. So usually I'll toss that in, go to the gym, or come down here and do this call, and then I'll go up there and toss it into different. I use glass Tupperware, so I've got big rectangle glass Tupperwares, and usually that fills up, 2 or 3 packs is going to fill up 2 or 3 of those big glass Tupperwares, and then I'll leave one of them in the fridge, and then I'll put the other ones in the freezer. Now, when you freeze your chicken like that, again, some things that I do aren't always the best in terms of flavor. But again, I'd rather be efficient and be on point and be consistent and lose a little bit of the taste factor in some instances. But it doesn't help the flavor to do that. But yeah, so usually that's what I'll do. I'll put the chicken into big glass Tupperwares, and then I will ladle on the taco seasoning juice water, essentially from the pressure cooker back into that, so that way it just stays kind of in its own flavor juices, and it keeps it more tender than if you just put in just the chicken breast into that. If you have a grill, you can do the same thing on there. Really, regardless how you cook it, after day 4 or 5, the chicken's going to start tasting a little bit drier. It's not as fresh, but your body can digest it just fine. There's no bacteria that's going to make you sick on it. But some people in here that they have to cook their food fresh. Like they can't reheat stuff. If you're one of those people that you're like, I don't like microwaving my food for whatever reason, whether it's the taste or it's a texture, or you don't like the idea of using a microwave, you can still cook that, still bulk prep everything, but then maybe you can toss it into the oven for a little bit of time. In college there for a little while, whenever we lived in an apartment and my kitchen was right there with the living room, I would take my meal out of the fridge, and instead of putting the microwave, I would toss it into a hot skillet and kind of stir fry it to an extent. I wouldn't really add any oil, just add some spray to it. So that's one way I would do it as well. But in terms of, bulk prepping, that's what's worked for me for the past, damn near decade, is cooking my food like that, or my chicken like that at least. I only recently, probably in the past 2 years or so, started freezing excess chicken so it's ready to go. But again, like in this same instance, when I had Thanksgiving, and then I was out of town until last night, I was able to take a big frozen glass Tupperware of chicken, leave it out overnight, woke up, it was thawed, ready to go, and then I was able to divide my meals this morning before I went to work. So it saves a lot of stress and saves a lot of nutrition.
Okay. Do you freeze them in like the whole breast form, or do you cut them up or shred them?
So good question as well. For the longest time, I used like the giant chicken, like the big chicken breast would come in there. So it would cook in the big chicken breast, and then I would take 2 forks, usually take one big chicken breast, set it into that glass Tupperware. Actually, I'd set it onto a plate, and I would cut off the fat, because those big chicken breasts are going to have a little extra fat on there. So I'd cut that off, so I'm not accidentally chewing on fatty or meat like that. And then I would throw that away, and then I would put the rest of the chicken breast into the Tupperware and shred it up, so it was all nice and shredded, and then the juice would kind of stay mixed in with that. That always, at least in my mind, helps keep it from getting rubbery kind of as the week goes on. But now it's because the chicken tender, like chicken tenderloins, like the raw ones, they used to be like $1 more than the regular chicken breast, but now they're the same price, and they don't have any fat on them. They only have that little cartilage tendon thing on it, which I don't even notice. So that's what I use now. I use the chicken tender ones, and I'll usually take 3 or 4 packs of that and toss that in. And those I don't have to shred up or whatever. I'll take a spatula and set them into the glass Tupperware and then pour some of that sauce back over it. So that's how I do that. Obviously you can bake the stuff. I've always found that baking it usually tends to end up tasting a little more rubbery. Maybe I just was cooking it wrong because I'm not a fantastic cook. But then, like I said, a grill. I love grilled chicken. Yeah, when I can use my grill like in the summertime a lot and season it in different ways. I do really love that. But it's not as passive. Like I said, the prep time to toss that chicken into the pressure cooker takes me 2 minutes. Whereas going out on the grill, I have to actively be about there paying attention to it. So on nice days and I have the time to, I'll do it that. But it's just consistently throughout the year just doesn't work for me usually. That's a good question.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Anybody else have any questions? I should have wrote down. I had a question for you guys that I was going to ask, and now it's lost. I've lost my mind. I forgot it. Forgot what I was going to say. Try to think of it as we kind of wrap up here. Does anybody else have any other questions? I meant to post this yesterday about asking for Q&A questions so I could kind of address them. I'll look on here and see if there was any from the last time we did this that I might have missed besides yours, Dexter, that you asked about on like the following Zoom calls. I don't see any other ones at the moment.
I had one more question.
Yeah, Kaylee, what's up?
Sorry, I have a carrot in my mouth.
You're good. Carrot in your mouth, is that what you said?
Yeah, I was trying to eat.
Love it.
I had a question about your thoughts on collagen.
Yeah. Just like with any supplement and stuff like that you're going to be getting, trying to get a quality company that that you trust essentially. Vital Proteins is a good one. I like Vital Proteins. Have you ever heard
I've used that before.
Yeah.
I have to mix it in hot coffee because it has like a filmy taste to me.
So Vital Proteins, they have a bunch of different ones. I like their sport line of it. That's the only ones I've ever used. I know they have just kind of regular Vital Proteins, whatever their mixes and stuff are. So I've never used those that like you would mix in a coffee, but there are essentially it would be like instead of getting a regular protein powder, you'd be getting that as well. I think when it comes to that, not using that as your only protein supplement,
Right.
or the only source of protein essentially that you're getting. So I would, but definitely get some collagen. I think is a great thing. There's a lot of different benefits to it. But yeah, so I would do 20 grams of collagen protein a day. That would be perfect. Vital Proteins, they make a bunch of different ones. They have pre-workout ones, they have intra-workout ones, they have post-workout ones, they have a sleep time one as well. So there's all those different ways that you can do it. The sleep time one is kind of like a tea type flavor.
Right.
So that's the one that I probably took the most of when, back when I was taking it more often, but that is a good company. I do trust their stuff. I know a lot of the high athletes that do actually swear by it and that use a lot of it. So, yeah, I would go for it.
Okay.
Essentially like looking at your plan and whatnot, it'd be a good supplement to kind of add into it to help get in the extra protein with it, especially if you're short on protein. Maybe tossing out a scoop of protein for that is fine as well. Or like I said, just kind of adding it on. 20 extra gram of protein isn't going to hurt anybody.
Okay, cool.
Good question. Chris has said, also Kayla, you said this earlier, you can always donate candy to troops overseas. I like that idea as well. Thank you for adding that in. Krista, great question. I'm always curious about specific details around people's food. And we've done that as well on here, kind of talked about different ways that everybody meal preps. But I think that kind of as the year goes on, especially with new clients coming aboard and being on calls, I think that some of these topics are good to circle back to every, 2 or 3 months or so. So we might do one of those soon. What are your go-to veggies? Me personally, again, with my work schedule and everything else, I do what's efficient. So usually what I'll do is I'll use the frozen veggies from Sam's Club. Most times I'll do broccoli. I also like their green beans. They don't always have the frozen green beans there. They have like the broccoli and carrot ones that are frozen as well that I'll do. And again, that's for those are like my staple meals. Is that my favorite way to eat a veggie? No. But again, looking at efficiency, looking at kind of everything that kind of goes into it, it's what's efficient for me. So I'm able to just toss that right on into, as frozen, toss it into my Tupperwares. And then when I'm ready to go eat it, it's already thawed. And if it's not thawed, when it microwaves, it's going to be thawed out anyway. So that's what I do with, at least 2 of my meals a day is how I eat those veggies. I personally love when Nicole and I are like making dinner at home, whether it's steaks or salmon or whatever the case is. Funny enough, half of our dinners, whenever we actually sit down and make dinner, are essentially what meal prep would look like, just fresh. So we're either, I'm grilling steaks or salmon or chicken usually. Sometimes we're making some pasta, chickpea pasta, stuff like that, with the red sauce or whatever the case is. But what we usually cook on side of that is either going to be broccoli or Brussels sprouts. And usually we'll toss on a bunch of sea salt. We'll use olive oil. Again, I try to factor in because I know I'm going to be having that. So I try to save some of my fat for that day so I can have it with that stuff. So I'll kind of drizzle olive oil over the broccoli or Brussels sprouts along with some seasoning, toss it in, bake it for 25 minutes at I think 450 is what we do it on. So it chars it a little bit, but it's delicious. That's our favorite way to eat it. I love asparagus as well, cooked kind of the same way, or you can do it in a skillet or just bake it as normal. Those are kind of my favorite ones or ways to eat veggies. But again, whenever I actually start, making more recipes and stuff like that, I love veggies. It's just, if I'm going to sit down and cook them and whatnot, it's few and far between. Krista, what are your favorite veggies?
Well, the reason I was asking is because I always go to potatoes, and my work teammates are like, "Does Marcus allow you to eat that?" And I'm like, "Well, it really cuts down on my carbs, but it's like my go-to veggie, so that's why I look for others."
Gotcha. So, I think I know the question of this. You're not swapping out potatoes for broccoli, right? You're not looking at those as equals in terms of carbohydrates, right?
Right, right. Yeah, I have to make modifications in the rest of my day if I do that.
No, I always forget because when I think about veggies, I'm thinking about, what's low carb, what's going to get some greens and stuff like that in there. I look at potatoes. I love sweet potatoes. So actually, I'll take that back. Sweet potatoes are probably my favorite veggie. But again, with the carb content in there, that's more of an equal swap with rice and things like that. Some people it's just like white rice can be the same way, and everybody's a little bit different, but sometimes blood sugar shoots up with potatoes or sweet potatoes, or sometimes it's white rice. Everybody's a little bit different with it. They're similar on the glycemic index, but no, I love potatoes as well. So there's nothing wrong with that. Like you said, if you're fitting it into your macros for the day, your carbs, then go for it. I would still
I go in cycles because I can only do salad so much. And the salad is really filling, but then I get
tired of it,
kind of into a rut. And I'm like, okay, I need to make a change for a day or two.
That's perfect. And again, this is especially you've been with me for off and on for a while now, so hopefully, especially once you guys get new diet plans, you're able to take some of these different meals and be like, okay, well, this is on my last diet plan, I really like this one, and now it's not on my plan, so I can go swap out these different things. And again, one of the best things you guys can do is on a Sunday when you're going to the grocery store, think about, okay, what's a meal that sounds just tasty to me that I really want to have, and then build the rest of your plan, even my meals, around whatever that meal is. So maybe if eggs are on your meal plan and you just want a bagel and some whole eggs, then plan that into your macros and then figure out, try to enter in the rest of the meals that I have for you. And then if you need to make substitutions or additions, whatever the case is, then do that. But that again just gives you more meals in your arsenal to be able to go to whenever you want to. So Chris, it sounds like you're doing a good job of that. Is that you've got your
I totally do that, because I know we spoke a while back that I was like, man, I just really can't do the egg whites. I'm gonna do whole eggs and then just make adjustments accordingly. And so then I can do scrambled eggs on the weekend and hard-boiled eggs while I'm at school, because just ease of convenience. And so that flexibility and understanding the macros better has really helped me this time around.
I think that's perfect. So, I mean, great job doing that, because that's one of the keys in being sustainable with this stuff is trying to figure out how you can navigate those different changes on your own, kind of on the fly, And that even though it's similar foods, almost identical food day to day, if you're just changing up how you're making it, it gives you a different way to look forward to it. So I think that's perfect, Krista. You're crushing it on that end. Do you guys have anything else? I have one or two things I kind of want to toss out here really quick, and then we'll wrap up. I appreciate you guys being here. We've been on here for 55 minutes or so. I like keeping these around 40, 45, but the last ones have been going a little bit later. So a couple things here. Looking ahead to some future calls that I want to do. Let me pull my sheet back up here. One thing I would love to do, because we have a lot of moms here, even on this call, but in general, I would love to do just an all moms call. I mean, obviously, men are welcome to this as well. Dads are welcome to this as well. We might do a dad's call as well. I know sometimes dads don't get much love like mamas do, though I think moms deserve it just as much, if not way more. But I think doing a mom's call in here and talking about, just all the things that are tough for moms. We talk about this on here as well as, moms have a tough time about giving themselves grace, about prioritizing themselves, about prioritizing their health, about, communicating their needs. Sometimes it just puts on the back burner, and so I think it would be a good thing to kind of have a call talking about that exact stuff. Because I think a lot of times you can feel alone in what it is that you're doing. And so kind of having a support system or having other people that are going through the same stuff that you guys are, it can be very, very helpful. And plus it helps me get to know your struggles as well, because as much as I, try to be empathetic as possible and I could read as many books and podcasts and everything else, but I'm never going to be, a female dealing with the things you guys got to go through. So I think having a call about that would be awesome.
Well, and I think sometimes how anyone you know, Dexter is talking about being in a relationship a bit back, and how do you ask for me time, or how do you convey that no matter whether you have kids or not? Because I've talked to so many new moms, and it's like, I just asked him for permission to go take a 5-minute shower. And then you're like, okay, well, if I'm asking for a 5-minute shower, then it might really be out of the question for me to go do cardio for 20 minutes. And how do you build to that if just getting routine hygiene is already an issue? So those types of things, and everything is a season, and realizing you've been good about okay, you got your supplements, or you were able to get this diet, and maybe it won't all fall into place this specific day, but let's just work toward.
No, I think that's a great idea as well. Talking about the family side of things, talking about the relationship side of things, and how to merge, because again, that's what we're trying to do here, is that nobody here is a bodybuilder besides myself. So, and even myself, we're trying to merge our wants with our needs. We're trying to merge our family with our goals, our friends with our goals. And it's a tough balancing act that, like you said, different seasons of life bring different obstacles and different challenges. I think with every one of those situations, it's the foundation of them, what's going to set you up for success or less stress, is just that the communication component. Something I've actually added to my my questionnaire that none of you here at least have given me responses on is asking about a new client's family. What are your, do you have kids? How old are your kids? What are the, do they play sports? All that good stuff. Are you married? Are you single? That, that type of stuff. If you are married, is your spouse, your significant other, whatever the case is, are they on board with you making some of these changes? Are they doing it with you? Or are they supportive? Or are they making things more difficult? Because I think that these are all, especially when making these lifestyle changes, or setting new goals for yourself, it's important to communicate to the people who are going to be with you on a daily basis that this is where I'm going. This is why it's important, whether you're asking for them to hold you accountable or you're just asking for them to be understanding, is a big piece of it all. So I think we will definitely, I'll write that down.
And sometimes there's a win from it coming from a third party. Marcus said I need to, in my check-in this week, one goal I have this week is, can you help me with that? Just like with my kids, I tell the parents of my 5th graders, you can use me as the bad guy. Mrs. Dunn said you need to do this. And if that's what you want to happen at home, use me to make that happen. And sometimes that's just easier.
That's very true as well. Yeah, so I kind of like where we're headed with that. Thank you for that input, Krista. That's definitely helpful. I'm excited to kind of delve into all that stuff. And then unless you guys have any other final questions, I did want to ask one more question. Kaylee, Dexter, Chris, it's only you three on here. But hopefully I can get some insight from the people who go back and rewatch this stuff. I know that I post this to YouTube, and I don't post it to YouTube so that anybody else can see it. It's for us to see generally. But I do post to YouTube and I share the link to everybody. But I also understand that nobody has an hour to go sit down and watch a YouTube video, nor do they just want to see me in the top right corner just chatting your guys' ear off. So I know that that's not how most people are going to be listening to it. So my question with it, I don't know about you three. Number one, would you mind if, I'm already recording this, would you mind if I turn this into, and I don't want to turn it into a podcast for the sake of growing a big podcast following out of it. I would like to possibly turn it into a podcast only so that our TLF clients that are on their way to work can listen into this stuff. If they don't want to pull up YouTube and have all that stuff going, if it just automatically downloaded, on Thursday mornings after we had that call on Wednesday night, is that something that you guys would be okay? Because obviously if I made it a podcast like that, anybody could listen. Do I intend on that many people listening to it? No, I intend on just TLF clients that want to listen into it, to listen. So just really quick, that's kind of how I wanted to close thing out. So Kaylee, Dexter, Krista, is that something you guys are mind? I'll ask everybody else as well. Kaylee, you said
I think a pro of that, of just hearing your voice as a sound clip in a podcast, is that it makes it less fearful to share, because it's just your voice. Like, no one is seeing your name and your picture or whatever. Like, that's a pro about a podcast.
That's true as well. And then that would actually keep me from, because right now the easiest way to share it is by posting it to YouTube. So I can get that link and then share it with everybody else. So that would keep it from even having to, because like right now, like your picture's on it, Krista, and your name is at the bottom left corner. Same thing with Dexter. Kaylee, her name is on the bottom left corner of her screen, but also Kaylee LaFollette across the screen of it. So if I was able to go take it and turn it into a podcast, then after that, nobody would be seeing any of that stuff. They'd maybe only be hearing first names and stuff like that. Not that we're really sharing anything super in depth that's ever going to get back to anybody else that's a problem. But the main thing is I don't want to disrupt the privacy that you guys might feel here. And things of that nature. So it's not anything that I'm doing tomorrow, but I'm just curious your guys' thoughts on it. But Kaylee, it sounds like you're good with it. Chris, it sounds like you'd be good with it. So I'll be reaching out to other people as well and just kind of check in how they feel about it. Dexter, you got any thoughts?
I was just gonna say, I think that's a good idea as well, because sometimes I can't always, leave the video running on my phone or pull it up on my computer. So yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, and I don't know about you guys, but I have a data limit on my phone that I try not to go over. And if I'm rocking YouTube on my phone, using up data for 45 minutes driving to work, that racks up pretty quick. But if it was just the audio of it on Spotify or on Apple, then perfect. And I already have the platform ready to go for Food, Fitness, and Family. The other podcasts actually do run. So, I already have the platform to be able to share it all. So, well, cool. Good talk. You three, Michelle was on here earlier as well. And anybody else who's listening right now. But you guys have a great rest of your week. Check-in day is tomorrow. And yeah, I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for being here, friends. And thanks for all your questions.